Hi, are you from Turkey and wanting to qualify as a solicitor of England and Wales? If so, this video is for you. My name is Ingemar Hunnings. I am the lead consultant at HCL, a management consultancy uh, which helps businesses in the legal services sector with everything about running their business, compliance, some of the case management systems, and we do a lot of work helping people with the journey to qualify as solicitors of England and Wales. So let me first of all just share my screen and just run you through what the elements are for qualifying as a solicitor of England and Wales through the SQE route. These are the four elements. You have to have a degree or degree equivalent. Uh, so then you have to pass the exams, SQE1 and SQE2. You have to have a minimum of 2 years full-time equivalent qualifying work experience confirmed to the SRA by an SRA regulated solicitor. And then the usual things of proving your identity, criminal records checks, those sorts of things. Okay, so I'll run through those. I'll then talk about exemptions. So you don't need to have a law degree. It's a degree or degree equivalent, and the SRA uses, I think it is ENIC, to carry out the checks on those. So you'd upload proof of what you've done, but it doesn't have to be a law degree. If a training company says to you, you have to do a converter course, that's their requirement, not the SRA's. The exams, the SQE1 and the SQE2. So the SQE1 exam tests you on your knowledge. It's made up of multiple choice questions, and they call them FLK1 and FLK2. So there are two parts to that. They're tough. There are usually four possible answers to the question, and it's very tight time-wise. The SQE2 exam you cannot apply for until you've passed the SQE1 or if you've been exempted from it. The SQE2 exam tests you on your knowledge, but also what you would be like if you were newly qualified as a solicitor. So they want to see that you're a safe pair of hands. So it's not just the law, but it's the application of it. How would you be in 16 different scenarios? 12 are written and 4 are oral. For the oral ones, you still have to travel to the UK at the time of me recording this, which is February 2026. The written parts of the SQE2 and the SQE1 you can take in the Pearson View centres, which means therefore you don't have to necessarily travel to the UK for that. Okay. 2 years full-time equivalent qualifying work experience. Okay, so that needs to be confirmed to the SRA by an SRA regulated solicitor or a COLP, which is specific, the compliance officer within a solicitor's firm regulated by the SRA. Now, a few things about QWE. The qualifying work experience, which is what it stands for, does not have to be done in a law firm. It does not have to be done in England and Wales. It does not have to be done in English and Welsh law. It could be voluntary. And you can reach back in time as far as you want for your QWE. You can also use an external solicitor for your qualifying work experience confirmation. For example, where you don't have an SRA regulated solicitor in your organization. That's a service that we provide. I've been working with the SRA since before the SQE came in, and I believe we got the first 2 QWE confirmations ever. I've done this now as of February 26 for over 175 people from all over the world. If I just bring up on screen here, you'll see that we have a service providing help with this. Okay, so just to point out that if you are someone who's not qualified, I'll talk about exemptions with regard to this in just a moment, but if you need to have your QWE confirmed, you don't have a solicitor to help you, then feel free to reach out. It's always best to use the form or email me rather than ring me because I may be busy and not pick up the call. So use this from the website. Give me as much information as possible, or else email me. As you can see, the email is there, and we can look at whether it is appropriate for me to be acting, and I'll explain the circumstances in a free, no obligation Zoom call. Okay. If one is doing the confirmation as an external confirming solicitor, the SRA requires us to review the work, which I do through a Zoom call with you sharing your screen, and to get feedback from your supervisor, which I do again through a Zoom call. Your supervisor does not have to be a lawyer. Other points about QWE. Full-time equivalent, the SRA regards full-time as being a minimum of 32 hours a week, but you could be working part-time, let's say 16 hours a week, and then take 4 years to get your 2 years full-time equivalent. What is QWE? It is the provision of legal services. This final part here, so you have to prove your identity, you have to do your DBS checks or criminal records checks. So it's going to be a question of how you prove that, dependent upon where you are, I guess, on that. Exemptions. So can't get exemption from that. SQE1, in reality, the only way you're going to get exemption from that is by having sat the old LPC exam for the old route to qualify and then trade it in against an SQE1 exemption. Okay. If you do that, you're going to have to sit the SQE2 exam, and you will also, even if you are a qualified lawyer, still have to get your QWE confirmed. If instead you're a qualified lawyer and you sit the exams, or indeed you apply for exemption from the SQE2, and you obviously sit the SQE1, then you will be exempt from the QWE element. Okay, so as a foreign qualified lawyer, or any qualified lawyer, you are by default exempted from the QWE element, unless you're trading in an LPC pass to get exemption from the SQE1. That's the way it is at the moment. So SQE2 exemption, how do you get that if you're a Turkish lawyer? Let me bring up what the SRA says. So an avukat in Turkey may apply for an individual SQE2 exemption. You do not have an agreed exemption. You have to make the application. To do this, you will need to provide evidence of your professional qualification. The easiest thing is your admission certificate, because if you go down the route of getting the certificate of good standing, then that has to be dated within 3 months of the application for exemption. So this giving a copy of your admission certificate just takes away that pressure. Okay. You need to provide a reference showing you have at least 12 months legal work experience post-qualification as a Turkish advocate. So that letter you will probably draft yourself for your supervisor to then sign. There's certain requirements about that, which I'll talk about in a moment. Your supervisor does not have to be a lawyer, but if they are a lawyer, then you'll be also submitting their admission certificate, a copy of that. If they're not a lawyer, but they're a professional, like an accountant, then you would need to upload proof of their professional qualification, and also explain in the reference letter how they were suitable to be supervising your legal work. The supervision, by the way, needs to be the direct supervision, with you explaining in the letter how they directly supervised you, what the arrangements were. If they're not a professional or a lawyer, then you can't send any proof of their qualification, but you would still need to explain in the reference letter how they were suitable to be supervising your legal work. Now, we do have a service helping people with the application for exemption from the SQE2 exam. By the way, you can do this application before you sit the SQE1. There is information on our webpage all about this, with information as to what the requirements are. If you need help, then we do charge a nominal fee, £250 plus VAT if you're based in the UK, to help you through with that. We give you a simple template for the letter. We will review your draft. We'll review your draft application form, and we will then write back to you with our comments and with a reminder of what you need to submit to the SRA. Now, the actual application form for the exemption is here. You can see section 1 is you'd fill in, it's about you, who you are. Section 2 you would fill in, and your qualification, I believe, allows you to say yes to all of these items in section 2 too. Section 3 is the ethics, so you'd fill that in. Section 4, you would fill in section 4B, okay, and then tick the one next to SQE2 exemption. Sections 5 and 6, you do not need to fill in all of this stuff down here. So you go all the way down to section 7, and I think you'll be filling in section 7C. Let me just remind myself. So the SRA said you need at least 12 months legal work experience post-qualification. So you must have done at least 12 months as a mandatory part of your qualification. So that they're taking as proved by your qualification as a Turkish avukat. And so it's the further 12 months which you're then post-qualification giving them evidence of, and so you would be listing the information about the person who is your referee for that in here at 7C. Section 8 you do not need to fill in. Okay, the only other thing to mention then is that we do have a service for also helping at the end of the whole process with doing a Zoom call to verify your identity if you need that. So there it is. Okay, I hope that is of help to you, and wish you all the best. Please do reach out to us if you have any questions. Please, if you've watched this on YouTube, may I invite you to subscribe to the channel. And there's lots of videos on here to help people, and we're trying to get the numbers of our subscribers up. So I do look forward to hearing from you and wish you all the best.